Today begins with greed is not a financial issue, it's a heart issue. Greed is a bottomless pit which exhausts the person in an endless effort to satisfy the need without ever reaching satisfaction. There is a sufficiency in the world for man's need, but not for man's greed. The ignorant mind, with its infinite afflictions, passions, and evils, is rooted in three poisons: greed, anger, and delusion. Leadership is a privilege to better the lives of others. It is not an opportunity to satisfy personal greed. Anyway, no drug, not even alcohol, causes the fundamental ills of society. If we're looking for the source of our troubles, we shouldn't test people for drugs. We should test them for stupidity, ignorance, greed, and love of power. Privacy is not for sale, and human rights should not be compromised out of fear or greed. It is greed to do all the talking, but not to want to listen at all. Where do the evils like corruption arise from? It comes from the never-ending greed. The fight for corruption-free ethical society will have to be fought against this greed and replace it with "what can I give" spirit. Do not follow vain desires, for verily he who prospers is preserved from lust, greed, and anger. Nothing makes us more vulnerable than loneliness, except greed. The everyday kindness of the back roads more than makes up for the acts of greed in the headlines. The hypocrisy of some is that we like to think of ourselves as sophisticated and evolved, but we're still also driven by primal urges like greed and power. Greed is the lack of confidence of one's own ability to create. Greed is the inventor of injustice as well as the current enforcer. Well, first of all, tell me, is there some society you know of that doesn't run on greed? You think Russia doesn't run on greed? You think China doesn't run on greed? What is greed? Microsoft is not about greed, it's about innovation and fairness. In our daily life, we encounter people who are angry, deceitful, intent only on satisfying their own needs. There is so much anger, distrust, greed, and pettiness that we are losing our capacity to work well together. From the first day to this, sheer greed was the driving spirit of civilization. Capitalism is an organized system to guarantee that greed becomes a primary force of our economic system and allows the few at the top to get very wealthy and has the rest of us hiding around thinking we can be that way too if we just work hard enough, sell enough Tupperware and Amway products, we get a pink Cadillac. If we go on the way we have, the fault is our greed, and if we are not willing to change, we will disappear from the face of the globe to be replaced by the insect. Fear and greed are potent motivators. When both of these forces push in the same direction, virtually no human being can resist. Governments are composed of human beings, and all of the frailties that humans possess are absorbed into these governments and become active within these governments. Hatred, anger, jealousy, fear, greed, distrust, and the whole host of afflictions that humans must bear lurk just beneath the surface of civility displayed by government. I don't like greed, I don't like ignorance, I really don't like anger, but I love love. The writer's greed is appalling. He wants or seems to want everything and practically everybody in another sense, and at the same time, he needs no one at all. If you eat junk, you look like junk. People say, it's not my fault, it's my glands. It's not. It's greed. Human beings are very complex creatures. This desire, this greed, this love is very complex. When there is money, there is also greed. Everyone wants to talk to you when there is money. Only if you have the passion for it, you must become a philanthropist, else it'll become a headache. The greatest obstacle to the welfare state is not greed, but private charity that makes the welfare state irrelevant. The greatest obstacle to re-education of children in the name of the collective is allegiance to a higher power. More than that, the greatest obstacle to the state as God is an actual God above the state. The environment that we call society is created by past generations. We accept it as it helps us to maintain our greed, possessiveness, illusion. To those supporters who were told that I abandoned them, that is untrue. I abandoned greed, corruption, and compromise. Never you, and never the artistic gifts and abilities that sustained me. Riots born out of political issues aren't the same as those born out of personal greed. Greed has taken the whole universe, and nobody is worried about their soul. Everything I had been taught to regard as a vice, and I still regard them as vices, under Thatcherism was in fact a virtue. Greed, selfishness, no care for the weaker, sharp elbows, sharp knees. New York City is a great monument to the power of money and greed, a race for rent. Greed is a basic part of animal nature. Being against it is like being against breathing or eating. It means nothing.
Please like, subscribe, and start every day with a new word. Thank you.